Don't you know that I'm a superstar?
Hello and welcome back to another episode of The Celebrity Whisperer. I am your host, Eric, the Celebrity Whisperer. Just to briefly recount what you know about this channel is dedicated to telling you the stories of the famous people I have had the opportunity to meet across the span of my life. Somehow I've been in the right place in the right time over these many years since I was a teenager. Put me in position to meet a lot of very famous people. So today we're going to talk about the time that I met former New York Governor Mario Cuomo, 3 times governor of New York State, a very popular political figure. Many thought that he would have made a great president, but he decided not to run for president, which is unfortunate. I think he would have made a great president. But I did vote for him every time he did run for governor of New York as a New York resident, New York State resident. I'll just give you a brief story on what happened. He was walking on Sutton Place. This, I believe, was the early 2000s. I believe he lived in Queens his whole life, but after he left the governorship, I do believe he moved to Sutton Place on the east side of Manhattan, and a very nice neighborhood. A lot of famous people live there as well. Yeah, so I was over there for a doctor's appointment, and I had left the doctor's office, and I was walking back towards my car, and around the corner comes Governor Cuomo, just in a casual kind of sweatsuit, casual clothing. He turned the corner that I was walking down, and we bumped right into each other. Of course, I immediately recognized him as someone who is a political junkie and follows politics very closely at the state, local, and federal, and international levels, really. I'm a news and politics junkie. So I recognized him right away, and, you know, I immediately stopped him and told him, "Hey, Governor Cuomo." And he said yes, and he immediately extended his hand and shook my hand. And I knew from his background that he grew up in the same neighborhood I did, South Jamaica section of Queens, where his father owned a grocery store on South Road in South Jamaica. So, I reminded him of that, and he talked about, his growing up in the neighborhood and experiences with his father. This is in the 30s and 40s and 50s. And, and we talked about how much, the neighborhood had changed since then. It had gone from predominantly Italians to African Americans, and, what was going on in the neighborhood. And, some of the good, some of the bad. We talked about just Queens in general. As 2 Queens guys, born and raised in Queens. We both love Queens, and talked about, all the great things in Queens. And I talked about, all the things that had happened in South Jamaica since he had left the neighborhood, like Rochdale Village being built in the 1960s, and how the black middle class had really taken South Jamaica and made it their own. It was South Jamaica had one of the highest rates of African American home ownership in the nation, and I told him about that, and he was very pleased with that. As a man who had throughout his life been dedicated to the cause of racial equality and civil rights. So we had a good long discussion, very nice, very friendly, about 15, 20 minutes. And, I was so appreciative that he just would take time out of his day. Obviously, he was going somewhere. I don't think he was going home. I think he was going somewhere on an errand. But he stopped and he gave me a very long conversation. And it was wonderful. He was very relatable. He was very kind. He was very effusive, and just he was just a wonderful guy. Not only a politician, but a wonderful guy. You always learn about how people truly are when there are no cameras around, and no publicity agents and no paparazzi. And it's just one-on-one, and you get a chance to see how they really are. When they meet someone who can't do anything for them, and then they're not running for anything, and there's no one around to make them look good on camera or something. And he certainly passed that test because it was just me and him, no cameras. We had a wonderful conversation, and when I heard that he had passed away, of course I was very sad. But he did live a wonderful life, had a wonderful family, and had a remarkable record of public service to New York. And it was sad, but at the same time, I was understanding that we all have to move on, and we all have our day and our time to transition. But which brings me to my next celebrity, which is linked to my meeting Governor Cuomo. So when Governor Cuomo passed away, I wanted to pay my respects to him. I had read on the news or heard on the news that he was being waked at Frank Campbell Funeral Home up on Madison Avenue, I believe 81st Street. A lot of famous people have been waked there, and they've handled a lot of celebrities like Biggie Smalls, Aaliyah, Billy Martin, the baseball legend, and many others. So I got dressed, and I went to Frank Campbell's to pay my respects to the former governor. And the line was around the block. It was massive. It was 2-3 blocks long, and it was freezing cold. It was the dead of winter. But I said, I'm going to wait. So I waited and waited hours and hours and hours. So, I'm not paying really too much attention to the other people in line with me, but I did see one guy join the line right next to me. And when he turned around, I recognized him as Geraldo Rivera, the famous journalist, broadcaster, pundit, former attorney for the Young Lords Party. He's had an amazing, amazing media career. Everyone knows Geraldo. I believe he was on Apprentice too, as well. So, yeah, he's standing right next to me, waiting in line with me to pay his respects to the governor as well. So I got into a nice conversation with him, and I took this picture right here with Geraldo while we were waiting at the funeral home to pay our respects. And the sad thing is, I never got a chance to go in because after I had waited in line about 5 hours, it was very, very cold. And by the time, I got near the front, I think they were shutting it down for the night. And that was going to be the last time for the public to pay their respects. So, I never got a chance to go in, but I certainly tried. And I met Geraldo Rivera by happenstance while I was doing that. And so that's my story of meeting the former governor of New York, Mario Cuomo, and Geraldo Rivera. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to the next time we meet, and the next video I do of the next celebrity I met. And there's so many to go. We haven't even scratched the surface. So thank you very much. Take care. I appreciate it. And I will see you on the next episode of The Celebrity Whisperer. Peace.
Don't you know that I'm a superstar?